No.
I think you should stop screen sharing.
Yeah, Professor Damodar Acharya, can you stop sharing?
I am not able to see Professor Desiraju on the screen.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, you have to on your video.
Yeah, it's on. My video is on. Now I am able to see him. Yes. Great.
Okay. Dr. Saraswat, Honorable Member of Niti Aayog, Dr. Satish Reddy, Chairman, Defense Research Development Organization, DRDO, Professor Prashant Mohapatra, Vice Chancellor Research, University of California, Davis, Dr. Vapsad Reddy, Founder, Chairman, and well-known industrialist, Shanta Biotech, Mr. C.K. Venkatraman, Managing Director, Titan Company, Professor Ashok Junjunwala, Institute Professor, IIT Madras, Professor B.S. Murthy, Director, IIT Hyderabad, Professor V.S. Rao, President, NIIT University, and Vice Chancellor Designate, SRM University, Andhra Pradesh, Professor Rakesh Khandal, President and Managing Director of India Glycols Limited, Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, the Senior Advisor from DST, Professor Damodar Acharya, former Director, IIT Kharagpur, Professor Gautam Desiraju from IISc Bangalore. On behalf of the organizers of this webinar, I have great pleasure in welcoming all of you to the webinar. Let's give a big applause. I also welcome Dr. Satyanarayanan, President of SRM University, my colleagues of the technical team, program committee team, for their commendable work in planning and organizing this webinar. 2 weeks back, when I contacted and talked to Dr. Saraswat that it's a good time to organize a webinar on the impact of COVID-19 on the industry sector. Then immediately Saraswat said, not Narendra, not like that. He said, post-COVID-19 resurgence of Indian industry and R&D. Thus, we formulated the objectives of this webinar and we circulated very wide across the country. I'm very glad that more than 2,000 participants, I think currently the number is 2018, from premier institutions.
Sweta 2 at Gmail.
We lost you.
On or before 30 June 20. On or before.
The great Professor
I request the council to bring this matter to the forefront.
B.S. Murthy, Ashok Junjunwala, Acharya, and several others. Thus, we are very happy that more than 2,000 participants from wide and across the country are participating. The objectives of this webinar are to discuss the resurgence of Indian industry and the associated R&D to take the industry resurgence in the next few years. Thus, COVID-19 crisis. The whole world, including India, is passing through difficult times. Coronavirus has rocked the world. The entire world is struggling and waged a war against the virus to save the mankind. Initially, we were afraid that COVID-19 will ruin the country. This was the impression in the first week of March. But now, we have become confident that it will boost up our economy because of possible shifting of some of the multinational companies, MNCs, and investments from China to India. COVID-19 is giving us an opportunity to build new India. I repeat, COVID-19 is giving us an opportunity. I will dwell upon some of the industrial sectors. India is the largest supplier of generic drugs to the world, and the pharmaceutical exports were of 21 billion US dollars during the financial year 2018-19. Indian pharma industry meets 50% of the global demand for generic drugs. Key export destinations being the United States, UK, Canada, Middle East. India is the third largest market for active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs. Generic drugs are most impacted as our dependence is high on imports from China. Supplies from China, on which India depends for 60 to 70% of bulk drug needs, were disrupted with the outbreak of COVID-19 and had a serious impact on the pharmaceutical industry. Now we are glad that in collaboration with the state governments, Government of India is planning to establish 3 clusters for the manufacture of APIs needed for the bulk drugs with a grant of about 1,000 crores of rupees to each cluster. Incentives could be provided for R&D investments through enhanced collaboration between industry and academia. I'm sure many of the panelists will agree with the idea that we need to enhance and strengthen the collaboration between industry and academia. Dependence on China could be reduced over the years. Another industrial sector, namely automotive industry in the country, was seriously affected as we are importing several automobile parts from China, Italy, and others. China accounts for around 25% of India's automotive parts. Disruption in supply of raw materials and other critical components will have an adverse impact on our automobile industry. Once again, by strengthening R&D with appropriate manufacturing facilities, Indian auto component industry could emerge as an alternative source of supply in medium to long range term. I understand that the international supply chains are relocating from China and are looking forward to alternative destinations. The Japanese government is paying Japanese companies to shutter their manufacturing plants in China. American companies are also planning to shut down. Similarly, other countries such as South Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore are planning to shut down their facilities in China and are looking at India as an alternative manufacturing hub. It's reliably learned that about 1,000 manufacturing companies want to relocate to India. About 300 companies have already started their dialogue with the Indian government in a wide range of sectors, including electronics, pharma, textiles, etc. A good number of MNCs are planning to export their products via India rather than China. I repeat, a good number of MNCs are planning to export their products via India rather than China. As a result, our employment opportunities and also the products manufactured in the country will get exported, and eventually our exports will increase. Government of India and several state governments are taking initiatives to attract MNCs for their manufacturing operations in India. For example, Karnataka state government has constituted a special investment promotion task team to attract investments from MNCs who are planning to pull out from China. The task force will identify the key sectors and will formulate special incentive packages and facilitation to attract the investments. The task team will also identify key infrastructure projects, including dedicated industrial townships that need to be undertaken or expedited, and will identify the measures to fast-track clearances to promote investments. Now I'll come to the manpower available in the country. India is known for providing well-trained and skilled manpower at lower wages. India should immediately need to focus on improving necessary infrastructure such as connecting manufacturing hubs through highways, seaports, as well as ensuring uninterrupted quality power by building new power plants. Our country's young population needs to be trained in the state-of-the-art skills to stand as future workforce for the world. In this context, institutions and universities have a greater role to play. India should substantially improve in ranking in ease of doing business index by investing a large amount of money in developing infrastructure and human resources. India should rise to the occasion and catch hold of the opportunities and attract a large number of companies. If India could quickly act on the administrative reforms, then India will get benefited the present unenvisaged surge of opportunities. I repeat, India will get benefited from the present unenvisaged surge of opportunities. Efforts are to be made such that Indian products attain international recognition by improving the quality through state-of-the-art research and development. This point has been emphatically mentioned by the Honorable Prime Minister on 12th May this year. I'm sure the Indian products will try to attain international reputation. India's biggest opportunity lies in encashing the goodwill. I repeat, India's biggest opportunity lies in encashing the goodwill. To combat COVID-19, the strategies and measures adopted by the Government of India are commendable and are appreciated by the entire world. पिछले 45 दिनों में भारत ने अपनी ताकत को दुनिया को दिखाया. I repeat, पिछले 45 दिनों में भारत ने अपनी ताकत को दुनिया को दिखाया. कोरोना से लड़ेंगे और आगे भी बढ़ेंगे. जय हिंद, जय भारत, जय विज्ञान. Thank you very much. Now, I have a great pleasure in inviting Dr. Saraswat, the Honorable Member of Niti Aayog, to share his views and give a talk. Dr. Ranjit, now we'll switch over to Dr. Saraswat.
Yes, sir, it is done.
Ranjit.
It is done, sir.
Now, Dr. Saraswat will be on spotlight.
Yeah. Can you hear me, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good morning and welcome to this webinar. I'm thankful to Dr. Narayan Rao for taking this initiative and putting all of us on this platform. On this hour of crisis when the country is reeling under the effect of COVID-19, last 45 days, we have seen immense role which science and technology has played in mitigating the problems of COVID-19. If I start counting the contributions which have been made by the scientific community, it will be enormous. Starting from the epidemiological studies and simulation of the spread of coronavirus under different condition scenarios, the work on the research for the development of vaccine, the forced multiplication of the corona testing infrastructure, the development of new methods of testing based on gene concept and rapid test kits and antibodies, diagnostics technologies using the X-rays and the CT scans of the lungs, and a major crisis which was looming because of the lack of availability of ventilators. Number of agencies coming up with the new designs and development of ventilators to the extent that today we are in a position to meet about 60 to 70,000 ventilators requirement in the country, and many more are possible to be done. The major issue of the personal protection equipment, which has been now to the extent that we are able to produce almost 2 lakhs per day. And in addition to that, a huge number of software platforms for accounting the COVID-19 cases and issues which are alarming for the communities. And the institutions which played major role in this are, of course, the DST and the ICMR and the CSIR, DRDO, Sri Chitra Institute of Trinidad Institute of Medical Science and Technology, number of IITs, number of pharma industries, DBT, BIREC, and made immense contribution. That showed the capability of our scientific community that if there is an aim, if there is a goal, if there is a direction, then I think we can do a major task. And that is what has been demonstrated in the last 45 days. But we have learned some lessons also during this period. What kind of lessons we have learned, we should certainly take them and go forward in mitigating those problems. One major problem which we said was delay in setting up the test centers and lack of inventory of test kits. By and large, our industry was deficient due to the dependence of import from foreign countries, and we had serious problems of supply chain. We had Indian institutions had some ready-made solutions. Many people had designs of the ventilators, many people had designs of the test kits and so on, but they were at the level of the proof of concept. And many of them were not even beyond TRL 3 and TRL 4. So this required time and cost to take it to mass production level. This is noted as a serious weakness of our R&D system, that we do not go beyond a certain level of maturity of our technology. The regulatory system to introduce new drugs and vaccines and equipment in the system is not able to re-engineer itself to accelerate the process, to cut down delays. Most of the time, the similarity principle is not followed. This needs revamp and certain corrections. There was a major problem with the private companies who were coming up with solutions, and they were not in a position to get their products accepted because of the various delays which were being posed by the labyrinthic process which we follow in carrying out these clearances. Hence, in our system, post-COVID, certain modifications are required for meeting these situations. All of us know that Indian R&D sector suffers from major challenges in our ecosystem. And we have been hearing these points, particularly that we have low expenditure on R&D. We have suboptimal research infrastructure. We have dearth of private sector investment in R&D. And we are missing linkage between industry and academia despite our best efforts. The major underlying changes which have been highlighted post-COVID-19 are that we are highly import dependent both for our industry as well as the R&D. Then we have stringent regulatory mechanisms for entry of new novel drugs, and that becomes a major handicap. And we have a very rigorous approval process for products developed by private enterprises. And next, the major problem which was faced was non-availability of firm orders on our industry and missing line of credit from banks to meet the capital requirement of operations and upgradation of infrastructure. These have been faced by me sitting in Niti Aayog, and many times I had to coordinate with various agencies to mitigate these problems. That's why I am bringing to the notice of all of you. Now, all this would require that we need to to carry out certain reforms in our R&D critical areas of national importance. For ensuring a development of end-to-end technologies, strong internal linkages between Indian S&T sector and the relevant socio-economic ministries have to be set up. And to this extent, I would recommend that we should have a task force in Niti Aayog for implementing R&D missions and variety of segments like water, agriculture, health, energy, climate change, and national security. Health being one of the most important parameters today. And there should be an oversight monitoring committee which should be formulated, which would preside over the task forces to provide necessary guidance and oversight. Now, what should be our approach? What should be our strategy post-COVID? We must be directed at fulfilling the vision of a fair, resource-efficient, and resilient society. Spending should be focused on projects that can be easily and quickly delivered, which have the large employment and multiplier effect, which support the most disadvantaged communities and regions, which provide the widest range of economic, social, and health co-benefits. Economic activity can be considered environmentally sustainable. It must be cured to help shift financial flow towards energy efficiency, renewable energy, electrification of the transport, battery technologies, sustainable agriculture, large-scale restoration of the degraded ecosystems, green hydrogen production, climate-neutral processes in basic materials in the production of steel, cement, and basic chemicals. We should have recovery plans which should not support any harmful activities like overfishing and animal farming. We have to ensure recovery measures. They should not be only for improving our GDP and in short-term wealth creation, but these should be screened through what we are looking at sustainability filter. And R&D has to focus on decarbonization of the energy-intensive industries through the industrial strategy, adoption of the biodiversity strategy, and adoption of farm-to-fork strategy in the agriculture sector. One of the impacts of the pandemic has been the shutting down of the international travel, stopping critical skills and adverse effect on technology supply chains. We had to solve this problem. We have to also make sure that we have increased the R&D tax incentive to large R&D entities with high level of R&D intensities. That will bring more and more agencies to carry on with the focus on R&D. I have a few words for the universities. They should make far greater contribution into R&D, which feeds directly to the private sector activity. Universities themselves need to innovate proactively in responding to the immediate needs of the marketplace. They have to remain fit for purpose by adopting top-down, frugal innovation mindset or business models to serve the fast-forward future work. Higher education institutions need to focus their research agendas on serving evolving needs during pandemic and post-pandemic periods, as well as support the fledgling entrepreneurial activities. In fact, this is one of the major tasks. We have to support the fledgling entrepreneurial activities because they are in deep trouble today, both in terms of technology and resources. At least we should be in a position to support them technologically. R&D investment is even more important today because many competitors are seeking to compete in innovation-based industries, including by expanding research funding and putting in place generous R&D tax initiative. So hence, we have to certainly boost up our R&D investment. The Information Technology and Innovation Foundation actually has come up with an estimate that 40% of the R&D spending is recovered in the increased tax revenue growth, particularly like in the areas of frontier technologies which are emerging like AI and robotics and so on. There's one major sector which I would like to focus and which is one of our weaknesses. We should focus on design-based development. That strategy has a very high potential and can be applied in a much wider spectrum of economic activities, and we can easily get IPR. Our funding pattern should be performance-based funding. Policy to include research funding to higher education institutions on the basis of some research performance indicators such as research productivity in terms of translation. Universities should set up centers for technology commercialization and value addition, which is a missing entity today. Public-private R&D cooperation, everybody talks about it, to be essential part of university endeavors for better and relevant R&D output. What are the other reforms we can think? We'll have to go for end-to-end technological solutions, which call for strong internal linkage between Indian S&T sector and the relevant socio-economic ministries, as I mentioned earlier. R&D in critical areas like what we are facing today should be done in the mission mode, and those areas are alternative fabrics, materials, design of PPEs, low-cost kits, therapeutic drugs, medical devices, vaccines, and so on. In fact, our national vaccine program should be done in a mission mode with multiple agencies working together under the leadership of one eminent person, and he should be in a position to guide the entire process of vaccine development and come up with a solution which are globally acceptable to earn the basic innovation requirements as well as the production. We have to fast track the prototyping, testing, validation, and clinical trials of medical devices, increase the number of full-time researchers. In fact, we found that we are roaming around the same number of people. By doubling the present strength, rigorous postdoctoral programs with employment guarantee, and return of the best-in-class Indian scientists. We should strengthen the research translation in the R&D ecosystem by ensuring industry partnership, incentivizing indigenously developed product, and creating a comprehensive national strategy and technology portal of indigenous technologies which are ready for commercialization. We can't be looking only inwards. We have to promote India as a global R&D hub. And for this, we should encourage the multinational companies. I think Dr. Narayana talked about many companies coming from China and so on. So we should look at them. We should set up R&D centers, provide tax benefits to industry to invest in R&D projects of national importance, and initiatives to facilitate and support bridging in the innovation cycle, the valley of death. That is the major area where we have to find funding. Set up a seed fund and give grants to startups as effective initiatives to convert R&D efforts into products. Our FDI policy should be modified and made attractive and proactive to attract foreign companies willing to pull out from China to set up base in India. Unless we make it attractive in terms of financing, in terms of power, in terms of land, in terms of labor reforms, I think these companies will not come. They may go to Vietnam, they may go to Cambodia, they may go to Bangladesh, and they may go to Indonesia and Malaysia. So we need to really take immediate measures to modify our FDI policy and incentivize this whole process to take opportunity. Initiate a mission-made program aimed at supporting rapid vaccine development, I mentioned. Introduce technology-enabled remote healthcare in public and private health centers and hospitals. Revise our expenditure regulations of corporate social responsibility to qualify funding in-house R&D projects or supporting extra-rural R&D projects of universities, college, R&D institution as a CSR activity. We have to bring down our interest rates on the loans provided to the company for PPP in R&D, and the IP may be transferred to the industry utilizing royalty model. A share of R&D funding should be devoted to industry R&D consortia to support productivity enhancing R&D. Set up R&D parks and allow companies to develop R&D centers, labs for which the companies may be incentivized in utility services. Development of low-cost drones and robots equipped with GPS, cameras, and other equipment and IoT sensors should be one of the areas of our R&D focus. Extend tax breaks to cover the R&D expenses of Indian companies outside India. Dr. Narayana talked of Indian standards for certifying products for the quality acceptance globally. We have to upgrade our testing labs to bring them at par with the global standards. We have to continue to work on India-centric epidemic preparedness to the rapid development of vaccines, supporting the development of Indian vaccines in line with the Coalition of Innovation in Epidemic Preparedness Global Initiative. Build a vibrant electronic device manufacturing ecosystem. Now, what are the areas which needs to be focused when you look at post-COVID? As I mentioned, the medical devices, which includes PPEs, ventilators, dialysis machines, portable X-rays, and so on. E-commerce and communication networks, computer servers, multiplexers, edge equipment to promote IoT and things like that. Agriculture, genetically modified crops, genetically edited crops, precision agriculture, low energy cold storage systems, technical textiles, which became a shortage when we were working in this COVID case. We had to look at carbon fiber, 100% polyester coated with foam and water repellent, aramid, nylon 60, biotechnology, new vaccines, drugs, genetic studies, energy, methanol production plants, fuel cell, hydrogen economy program, hydrogen production, storage and transportation, and of course the batteries and things like that. Drug manufacturing, we suffered a major shortage of active pharmaceutical ingredients during this process. I think we have to revive our API industry once again to ensure that all the APIs are manufactured in this country and our dependence on China and other nations reduce. Water is going to be a major problem in the years to come, so desalination with least energy and membrane should be our priority of research. Electric vehicles with batteries, permanent magnets, rare earth mining, urban mining, all that should be our priority. And since we are entering into more and more remote working and internet-based systems, cyber security becomes one of our priority area for focus, in which cryptanalysis particularly, which is one of the most weak area in the country, should be given the highest focus. Develop cyber offensive and defensive workforce. Other strategies, particularly when we are going to have a problem post-COVID, we may have financial deficits. As a result, large size projects will have difficulty in being pursued. Programs like Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft of DRDO, the nuclear programs of Department of Atomic Energy, space programs and all, will have to find and evolve a strategy how they will perform post-COVID and maintain their balance of activity and the goals. We have no doubt but to spend more money on issues like small modular nuclear reactors, batteries, artificial intelligence, blockchain, machine learning, robotics, and quantum computing. The many sectors which are going to be affected by the by COVID, apparel and textiles, it contributes about 2% to our GDP and provides about 45 million employment, will be affected medium or high. Auto sector, which contributes 7 to 8%, will be affected 40 million employment, will certainly be very seriously affected. Aviation and tourism, which contributes about 11% to our GDP, with 43 million people employed, we will have a major impact on that. Building and construction, which contributes about 10% to our GDP and have a lot of employment, will certainly have a high impact. Retail sector, about 10% of the GDP and 10% of the total initial workforce will be medium to high impact. Education contributes about 3%, will be impacted in a medium manner. Financial sector, which contributes 9%, will be impacted about medium. Food and agriculture contributing 15% to our GDP, with about 10% of the total workforce employed there, certainly will be affected in a big way. MSMEs, in fact, one of the major areas which is getting affected, which has got a contribution of about 30% to our GDP and about 140 million people employed there, will be the most affected. What should be our business imperative technology status and options? Recovery of Indian economy will depend upon adoption of appropriate major policy support to unconventional strategies. We have to establish detailed understanding of the sector-wise business imperatives, estimation of the demand-supply position. We should do technology status appraisal in India, existing capacities, its further strengthening and initiative both in terms of long-term and short-term. We should look into the kind of depth and breadth of foreign partnerships what we have today, whether we have to continue with them or we have to establish new ones. We have to leverage the international partnerships in important sectors today. For example, in agriculture, partnership with Israel for many of the activities. MSMEs, maybe partnership with Germany. Large manufacturing tie-ups with with US and Japan under Startup India. Ultimately, as our Honorable Prime Minister has said recently, self-reliance will be the new mantra which we have to follow in the next few years to come. The strategy for sectoral growth is that machinery and manufacturing we have to have critical equipment, machinery to be manufactured indigenously with focus on Industry 4.0. Raw material sourcing should be worked out from non-Chinese companies, and we should have multinodal trade so that we are not dependent on one individual source. Automobiles, local manufacturing of BS6 components and drivetrain for EVs and hybrid vehicles, alternative technologies for lithium-ion batteries such as sodium-ion battery, aluminum-ion batteries, sodium-sulfur batteries, they should be explored. Textiles, industry-friendly policies promoting synthetic textiles, technical textiles, eco-friendly and weaving and processing industries. You will be surprised that we had a problem of non-availability of gluing machine for making the PPEs. And that kind of a criticality should be avoided by thorough R&D. Development of cost-effective test equipment for technical textiles should be our priority. Electronics manufacturing, we have to go for equipment for surface mount technology and packaging. Indigenous semiconductor integrated circuit manufacturing, setting up of the silicon and gallium nitride foundry at the earliest. Foreign investment promotion for setting up industries in India for critical electronics manufacturing should be made attractive. Agro-processive, reducing agriculture waste, promote irradiation of perishable foods, and state-of-the-art high-capacity packaging machines to be done. As I mentioned to you, our focus on agriculture should go from field to fork technologies, satellite imagery, precision agriculture, and things like that. Now, what will happen to the firms which are going to rebound from the pandemic? What will they be thinking? In fact, R&D has to play a major role in advising them. What is the role of advanced manufacture and production technologies in this new scenario? How these advanced technology and production technologies can be modified in this new scenario? We should work out the strategy. What are the operating and business model innovations worth keeping once the crisis is over? We have to give them ideas. Will firms quickly return to business as usual, or will they examine what worked and what did not during this period of mass experimentation at such a scale? Would the resilience achieved today only be made possible through superhuman efforts justified by being in crisis mode and not sustainable on normal modes of working? Will only the handful of superstar firms and the state-funded oligopolies get stronger and more dominant in the manufacturing landscape? I think we should carry out a study and advise the industry on these areas. And we should also tell them what are the 7 major factors on which they should look at. Reconfiguring the manufacturing capability, repurposing of the manufacturing capacity, digitization of the supply chains, strategic workforce planning, provision of the capital and liquidity, remote infrastructure management, and platformization. Top 10 skills which will be needed post-COVID will be digital literacy, AI and data analytics, creative problem solving, entrepreneurial mindset, physically and psychologically safety and effectively in the factories, intercultural and disciplinary, inclusive and diversity-oriented mindset, cyber security, privacy and data information mindfulness, ability to handle increasing complexity of multiple requirements and simultaneous tasks, effective communication skills and open-mindedness towards constant change, which is going to be the only thing which is going to be constant. So I will conclude by saying that completely self-orchestrating factories will likely to change the economics of manufacturing tomorrow. Today, what is available is software-defined production processes we have. We have a growing additive manufacturing industry. We have CNC machines. We have surface mount technology placements. We have laser cutters. We'll slowly and soon will be having self-organizing factory architecture and workflows. We will have Industry 4.0, which will be certainly customized or Indianized Industry 4.0. And next level, teams of autonomous robots and human workforce, handling of parts and materials, assembly and quality control, operation maintenance of production machinery will be our next future, which will be the advanced manufacturing with Industry 4.0 with man in the loop, because the kind of unemployment which is going to be created post-COVID will not allow a large-scale automation in the industry. And R&D also has to focus in such a manner that your R&D initiatives create more and more employment. So we have to work towards more employment, short projects which can deliver over a period of time as early as possible, contribute to the economic growth rather than taking long projects, and also meeting the requirements of the socio-economic sectors, particularly the health sector in the environment of COVID, which is going to continue, should be our priority. So R&D has to transform in all these fields, and I hope the IITs, the national institutions, will gear themselves in that direction. Thank you very much.
Yes, Ranjit?
I have finished.
Ranjit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now you put me on this spotlight.
Yeah.
Karo bhai.
It is done, sir, already.
No.
Yeah, you are in spotlight.
Okay, now we will take up a few questions from the audience to Dr. Saraswat. Please raise your hand through Zoom and our team will allow you to ask the question. Yes?
Hello. Sir, it is Professor...
Spotlight log rawali.
Yeah. So Professor Iswara Reddy. Can you speak?
Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, morning. Please go ahead.
It's me, Professor Ishta Reddy from Sri Vidyaniketan Engineering College, Tirupati, sir. Sir, I would like to know, is there any plan from Government of India to strengthen private engineering colleges with regard to R&D, sir?
In fact, the Government of India is not planning any difference between private or public. As far as the programs are concerned, the new initiative is that all colleges will be provided with the necessary support in the research and development. In fact, recently MHRD has come up with a new vertical in which they are going to coordinate the complete R&D initiative. So there is no difference. But yes, private engineering colleges, private institutions have to really ensure that they have the basic minimum infrastructure for doing the research and development in their domain. Multiplication by zero is not a good sign. So we will have to ensure that some minimum investment is carried out by them, and then support will come from the government for promoting research and development in the private sector also.
Okay, we'll take up the next question, please. Yes? Ranjit, who is the next person? Hello?
You cannot start video, yaar.
Hello? Yes. Are you able to hear me? Sir, I have a question. Currently, the world is...
Next speaker, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead. I am listening.
Sir, I have a question because
currently... You are using the computer audio.
Hello?
Yes, I am listening. Please go ahead.
I want how India is looking towards their resources, like population will be 20%, agriculture land will be 20%, living space will be 20%, forestry will be 20%. Like that, I want everything 20-20 in equal ratio, so nobody can face problem whether with environment or climate change, because nowadays many are facing problem with food and job, unemployment, migration, everything due to we are unable to maintain everything in equal ratio. So how India is concerned about population growth and all?
It's a very, as far as population is concerned, it is one of the major problems our country has faced, not today. It is not a phenomenon which is related to COVID. It has been our major problem of that we have a very high growth of population. Now, in the COVID, solution is not because of that. But certainly, all measures the country is taking for our welfare schemes, our health and welfare ministry, they are all talking about educating people for controlling the population growth. That is the best we can do. We are a democratic society. We can't do what Chinese have done by enforcing rules and regulations. So population growth is only by educating people that small family is the good norm. As far as the increasing population is concerned, it has an impact on our development, and for that country is catering for, because we have taken into account that our population growing, so we have to increase our productivity, both in agriculture, in other sectors, to ensure that we meet the needs of the growing population. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, there will be adverse impact, and for that, Government of India is already coming up with number of packages which are likely to solve some of the problems, but all problems will not be solved, I can assure you. We will have to learn to live with this new normal, and this new normal will require that least consumption, ensuring that we have safety of operation, ensuring that we don't bring more and more problems of health, so that people are able to spend more on other activities rather than only creating more hospitals, more drugs and so on. So we have to be disciplined in this particular case. I don't know what you were saying, 2020, that was not clear to me.
Okay, we will take up one more question for Dr. Saraswat.
Okay, so this can be Kannan Narsimha. So yeah, you can talk.
Please go ahead.
Hello. I think, sir, we can go next one.
Hello.
It is Lakshmi Kumar. Hello.
I am Dr. Kannan from Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
I am Dr. N. Kannan from SRM University.
Yes, Mr.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Can electric vehicles programs still be executed, or will they get postponed due to this COVID-19?
No. All the programs like electric vehicles and all will certainly be remaining on the rails. There is no question. Only the question is distribution of funds on various programs will have to be redone based upon what is the available money in the after the post-COVID, based upon the revenues collected. But as far as the program on electrification, it is one of our priority areas. It will continue to attract the kind of investments which we have planned earlier. Instead of 2030, it may come 2032, but certainly the program will be on the rails.
Okay, I'm sure there are a lot of questions for Dr. Saraswat. The audience may send their questions to us through mails, and then we'll pass them on to Dr. Saraswat. Now I have a great pleasure and honor in inviting Dr. Satish Reddy, Chairman, DRDO, to give the presentation. Dr. Satish Reddy, please.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Dr. Saraswat, former Chief of DRDO, our boss earlier and now, a member Niti Aayog, Professor Narayan Rao, Professor Junjunwala, Dr. Varaprasad Reddy, and many others who are present here. Once again, very good afternoon to all of you. Firstly, I think after going through Dr. Saraswat's lecture, I think there is nothing left to us. We touched upon, I think, every subject of it, what is required. But then, looking at my perspective, the last about 2 months, the way the country has responded to this COVID epidemic related various equipment and research, production, whatnot, is tremendous. Even in the conditions where you have lockdowns, employees are not available, whatnot, the people, the way they responded was tremendous. The scientists across the various laboratories in the country, across various departments, the type of innovations they have come, and the type of products what they have generated in the last about 45 days is enormous. I'll give you a couple of examples. The total PPEs what the country was producing earlier was 47,000 per year. The way the things have come through now, the number of types of PPEs what are there today, and today we are producing more than 3 lakh PPEs a day. More than 3 lakh PPEs a day. In fact, the DRDO developed PPEs itself. Today, there are more than 50,000 PPEs being produced every day by various industries. And the way the people are coming up, the total number of people who have approached us, only DRDO I'm talking, 1,500 people have come out with their PPEs for getting it tested today. And we have already tested about 750 PPEs, out of which about 260 PPEs have been qualified. That means there are 260 industries. I'm talking about only DRDO tested PPEs. There are 260 industries which are ready to produce these PPEs. Meaning, I think as soon as we cross the numbers what are required in the country can export these PPEs to the entire world in a big way. Let me talk about the masks. The masks N95 or N99 of DRDO, they again, they are being produced in lakhs per day. In fact, our own N99 mask itself is being produced more than 30,000 masks a day. Ventilators, which were barely available in the country, and have come up with a number of designs. The technical committee here, we have been receiving every day at least 5 or 6 types of ventilators from various people, whether the academic institutes or the industry in the country, have been sending their ventilator designs to us for getting it qualified to meet the COVID patient's requirement. And today, the orders which have been placed are more than 60,000 ventilators, where most of the companies, they have completed their design, development, whatnot, and they are also almost got tested with the technical committees and also in hospitals. I think in the coming week onwards, there will be thousands of ventilators which will be coming out. And people are asking now, many more people saying that we have designed a simple ventilator and this is a low-cost ventilator and whatnot and all that. I think again, this is one more area where we can export it in a big way. And look at various other products. When DRDO, I myself surprised the way the scientists of DRDO have responded. There are totally about 53 to 54 products have come out of DRDO in this just about 45 days to 50 days, which have been given to various industries. Today, there are more than 150 industries working with us and producing these products and supplying to various administrations, health departments and all that in the country. So this is the way the country has responded to the given situation. If we are able to respond like this every time and in the normal circumstances also, making things happen so fast and everybody rising to the occasion, I think the country will develop in a big way. So as soon as this lockdown period, the COVID period is over, what is very important is how the country can make its products are sold all over the world. This is the most important thing. So for this, the most important thing is the products what we are making should be innovative, should be the state of art products what are required. Meaning, there should be a continuous process of research happening everywhere and innovation happening everywhere. It is not just the R&D organizations which are present in the country or the academic institutes which are present in the country. They are not the only one, and even industry should take up and should be able to carry out research in the niche area. See, all of you have been observing the country has been generally, our country has been a technology follower. We have been getting various technologies somewhere else, various products somewhere else, and then over a period of time, maybe 2 years to 5 years to 10 years, we develop the product here. And so we become self-reliant in that area by ourselves, but we are not in a position to sell all over the world. if we have to become a country which actually is exporting all these things in a big way, our product has to be the state of the art. From technology follower, we have to become a technology leader. That's the most important thing. So meaning, we need to work out many areas which actually will be the futuristic in their nature, and divide among us the various academic institutes or the research institutes in the country, work out in those areas very specifically in a very clear time-bound manner. Rather, the research also happens in a mission mode, as Dr. Saraswat said, and come out with those technologies, and then industry takes it up and comes out with translational research and comes out with the products. The way what has happened in the COVID period, the research or the development in the laboratory to the production in the industry was almost parallel, simultaneously happening together, both of them working together. That's the way actually needs to be done. But this, some people were asking, or there were questions, what about the funding and all? The government is very clear about it, that the academic institutes, the industry needs to be supported in a big way in all possibilities. The academic institutes today, I was just going through the DRDO itself, we have about 8 centers of excellence in various academic institutes working in specific areas. And there are about 272 academic institutes, including the private institutes, which are working with us. And the total funding of about close to 1,000 crores is what is being invested by DRDO in the academic institutes today. Similarly, having said that, there should be research in the industries. Again, number of schemes have been created, whether promoting innovation or funding the research and funding the development. DRDO also has come out with number of schemes where funding to the industry for development of products, for indigenization of products, or coming out with innovative products. A lot of funding is taking place in industries today. Various other departments also in the country is happening. That's how I think if the industries are able to come out with products, with research initiatives. There are so many companies in the country today who have worked and who have done research in niche areas, and they're able to sell their products all over the world. When you talk about satellite navigation receivers or defense electronics or some of the other components related to this, they are able to sell all over the world as a leader. This is all from the industry, not even supported by anybody else here. They have done their own research and they have come out with the products and they're able to sell. And this is what is expected. The type of the innovations coming from the startups, the type of research outcomes which are coming from the various startups, young boys who are coming out. I think if we are all able to support them, whether R&D organizations like us or the academic institutes, and we should be able to boom them in a big way, then the industry should be able to flourish. Yes, wherever there is a lack of critical infrastructure is there, or the last mile we are not able to reach, we should have collaborations. We should be able to tie up with industries abroad and get that gap filled and get the technical know-how of it, and then become later a self-reliant in that area. We definitely should not look for industries coming here and then establishing, where the country has already established itself in that area and the industries are already established here, and that areas we should expand ourselves with our own industries here in a big way, supply to our own people or to supply to the outside. We always should look for collaborations where we lack something, and that is what is actually will be filled here. That is the type of a thing what we need to look at any collaborations what we are. For manufacturing, this is another different thing where we are looking for various industries to come from all over the world and come and manufacture and supply all over the world. In fact, even these areas also, we need to have zones where specific technological products are coming up, like the way the textile industry, which is around Coimbatore today, Coimbatore, Erode and other areas, where they have a society like Citra, what is there, which is supporting the textile industries there. We need to have in a public-private partnership model. That Citra is also a public-private partnership model. We should have innovative research centers which brings in a lot of innovation in the manufacturing and makes the product come out with innovation and also come out with a low-cost product. This is one of the important things. Even if you look at the United States of America, they have thought about 32 areas wherein they are trying to establish innovative research institutes across the country, across the areas, whatever, right from electronics to additive manufacturing to textiles to composite materials and whatnot and all that. So similar things also we should be able to get in the country where we are able to support our own industry in a big way. So this is how actually a core research happening in the academic institutes in the ERL level 1, 2, 3 certificate, the R&D institutes like us working from 3 to 7, and industries taking on from there, and all working with a sustained quality, a product coming from the industry is the way. A product which is innovative, a product which is a state of art, or a product which is first of its kind, if we are able to produce and deliver it at a low cost with quality and takes this country economically very, very, very strong. And let us all work together. All these three major elements, the academia, the industry, and the R&D organizations, the government, and work together and make this dream happen a reality. And let's work towards that. Thank you very much. And Professor Narendra Garu, I have a meeting at 12:30. All the people have come. Sorry, I won't be able to take any questions. Otherwise, my colleague Mayank is there. He will be taking. And please excuse me for this. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
Dr. Satish Shetty Garu, we are highly grateful to you for going over for this webinar and sharing your views. We thank you very much. Now, because of the paucity of time, we are not in a position to take up questions. The audience who have questions can send us through mails. Then we will send those questions to the speakers and try to get the responses. Now I request Sri C.K. Venkatraman, the Managing Director of Titan Company, to share his views and address the live in person. Mr. Venkatraman.
Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you're able to see and hear me.
Yes, sir.
If I were to take the role of R&D, we have certainly been feeling the criticality of R&D more and more, even before the COVID crisis came our way. In fact, we had worked with SRM University for a while now on various projects. If I were to take the jewelry business, for example, even before COVID, the price of gold was rising significantly, and therefore any innovation that would help us to create either a structure or an alloy which mimics 22 karat gold in every which way would have been a very, very critical and useful R&D output. And therefore we had identified across all our businesses some key R&D projects for the next 1 or 2 years which would help the company in a significant way. What the COVID situation has actually reinforced on all of us is the greater need for us to innovate in the same direction, because the overall consumer sentiment in the next many months and maybe for the next 2 years may be low. The overall market for many products may shrink, and therefore a company which innovates even more so in that depressed environment would be in a better position to succeed, to win over its competitors. And therefore my suggestion, advice to any company, any organization which is listening on this is there would be a lot of pressures to cut costs, but let that pressure not go to the R&D side. There are many operational improvements that are possible in any company situation. So let the pressure go there and not into the R&D efforts. Whatever R&D efforts each company had identified before the COVID crisis came. In fact, we should re-energize our efforts on that and accelerate that journey. So that is the first point that I wanted to make, and not get caught in the cost pressure to reduce the R&D budgets. The second point, and the last point, and I'll go after this because even I need to go for a meeting, another meeting. The second point is the COVID crisis has also introduced many aspects of safety and health into our lives. Therefore, for all those companies which may be having products of that nature, if they can consider the development in customers, in the public's lives as a result of COVID, and see how in the short term some of their products can really adapt to provide some solutions to customers, it'll be a very useful thing. For example, we are also a wearables company. We make bands as well as smart watches, and we are very actively considering, given the various implications of COVID on people's lives, how can we look at our wearable products and our fitness bands to sort of add on certain functionalities which can benefit the customers. So these are the 2 points that I wanted to leave. Unfortunately, like the earlier speaker, I'm also behind time. I have another meeting starting. So if there are any questions, I would request the SRM organization to route them to me, and I will, answer them offline. Thank you very much.
Mr. Venkatraman, thank you very much for interacting with our large number of audience from across the country. As I said earlier, the audience and the participants may send their questions to us. Now, I have the pleasure in inviting Professor Prashant Mohapatra, the Vice Chancellor Research, University of California, Davis. For him, now the date has changed. He is waiting since a long time. I request Prashant to make his presentation.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's certainly a pleasure. It's a little past midnight here in California, but it is certainly an opportunity that I couldn't deny. So thanks, Professor Rao. So I'm going to give a brief overview of what I see India in a new world. The current situation is unprecedented, never ever realized, never anticipated, and there were no preparations whatsoever. Every nation, every organization, everyone in any leadership position are struggling to learn. It is almost like test flying an aircraft with real passengers. On the economic front, yes, there is a recession all over the world, and it is likely to continue. No one can say for how long and how much impact it will have. Okay, let's not worry about things that we have no control over. Let's focus on what we can do. Sooner or later, the pandemic will end. That's good news. And that's probably the only good news we have. The world will eventually return to normalcy, but there will be a new normalcy. That's what I mean by India in a new world. Remember the 9/11 bombing in World Trade Center? That changed the experience of air travel forever. Now there is a new normalcy in air travel, and we have adapted to it. So slowly, we will also adapt to the new normalcy after the pandemic is over. However, with any challenge, there are opportunities. We need to focus on the opportunities in the domains of industry as well as R&D for India in the new world. Rich nations will recover very fast because of their economic strength. India is a very unique country. 25% of the population are below the poverty line. There is a huge gap in wealth between the top and the middle, and likewise from the middle and the bottom. So let me be very specific about a few challenges and what are the opportunities within those challenges. We have lack of investment by the private sector, especially during the recession. Government resources during these times have to be focused on welfare and for uplifting the masses. And that's when there is an opportunity for the private sector to invest in long-term socioeconomic mobility. Their efforts should focus on the economical impact that will see the daylight after 4 to 5 years. It is hard for the private sector to look that far in the horizon, but such long-term investment will create new winners in the longer run. Another challenge is a large section of Indian entrepreneurs and industry, they rely on trading kind of business. There is always room to make more money by trading rather than manufacturing. As a result, most industry are dependent on services from multinational companies, even from medium to even for small scale projects. We have an opportunity there that we can build up the economy by focusing more on manufacturing. As some of the previous speakers have pointed out, China became a global power because of the emphasis in manufacturing. However, now there is an opportunity because of the breaking relationship in the international domain. A lot of companies who are relying on Chinese manufacturing want to move out, and they want to find a new home. And that's where is a huge opportunity for India. So now let me move on to my favorite topics related to R&D. I'll only emphasize on two issues related to R&D. One is on higher level of investment. So let me give you some numbers to put the prospect of how much investment is needed in order to be a leading nation in the world. So if I use the metric of US dollar PPP is normalized to purchasing power parity. US spends about $500 billion per year on R&D, and China spends $550 billion in the PPP scale. Similarly, some of the other leading nations are, somewhere up $200 to $300 billion. India is not that bad. It spends about $70 billion per year in R&D. But if you compare that with China, we are probably 1/6 or 1/7 of that. But that's not the end of the story. If you take the percentage GDP spent on R&D, the leading nations, like for example, South Korea is about 5% of the percentage GDP goes to R&D, whereas India is about 0.85% of the GDP. If you look at per capita, the numbers are even worse, but I won't go that far. But again, these numbers are somewhere within the last 5 years. But without getting into those numbers, what I want to, using those numbers, what I want to make a case is, we have to increase our investment in R&D. And that's a huge opportunity in there. Now, and the last point I want to make is on the higher education system. This is where we have a huge opportunity. Can we focus on a few high quality higher education system? Indians have huge intellectual capital. Look at the CEOs of Google, Microsoft, Micron Technology, Albertsons, MasterCard, Adobe. I can go on and on. There's one commonality in these industry, the CEOs are all Indians. So the intellectual capital is huge, and we need to capitalize that for the nation. The higher education system needs to focus more on innovation and creativity. We need to build industry which can come up with new and innovative product. Like look at Apple, HP, and those kind of companies. We need to do more of those because they will have significant economic importance in the long run. Now, again, I have seen during my time here in California, I have seen companies like Google, Amazon, and all, they have grown from zero to whatever they are. So it is possible to have a quick ramp up and have a bigger impact on the economy. Focus on innovation and a learning experience that create the future leaders that can guide us to this new type of industry will make India very successful in the new world that we are going to foresee. Thank you very much.
Sir, you have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
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 Professor Prashant Mohapatra, thank you very much for sharing your views with our august audience. Now, I have a great pleasure inviting the well-known and popular industrialist and social entrepreneur, Dr. Varaprasad Reddy, to give the presentation. Over to Dr. Varaprasad Reddy, please.
Namaste. After hearing Dr. Saraswat, very elaborate, detailed lecture, he almost covered everything what is needed for the country. It is like a textbook. One can have as a reference book what is to be done. After that, Dr. Satish Reddy also came out a little bit in detail, and he concentrated more on R&D. I heard Professor Mohapatra from USA. He was also very specific on certain areas. I want to limit myself to the gaps that are there in the present existing system. Now, an enormous opportunity has come by way of COVID. No doubt there are some difficulty times now because of the virus, but every difficult time will give an opportunity. That is the lesson I learned when I initiated Shanta Biotechnics. When we started Shanta Biotechnics, there was no regulatory system for biopharma in the country. So, against many odds, Shanta could make it. That is the lesson I learned. In difficult times only, we see more opportunities. And as the earlier speakers said, this is most unprecedented, unexpected crisis, which is opening the doors for India. But my point is, yes, there is an opportunity, but we keep the doors open without any correction mechanism in the existing system of operations, or in our institutions and mindsets, we lose again the bus. I am very certain we have to make some reformations in our thinking, in our actions, in our institutions, in our outlook, as a matter of fact. For example, we are talking about manufacturing and we are also talking about R&D. Let me limit to these two areas, and that too particular to our vaccines and pharmaceuticals. I will not go to other areas. In R&D, gradually our investments are coming down. If you see the statistical data, I have already sent the PowerPoint presentation. The expenditure on R&D is slowly coming down. As it is, it's very low. I was under the impression that we are not spending more than 10 or 15 billion dollars. But as the professor from California, he enumerated that it is 70 billion. Very heartening and very happy to know that I am getting corrected. But my point is, people are not motivated to invest into R&D. At one time, all institutions which are spending, say, 100 rupees in R&D, they used to get 200% weighted average in reduction of income tax. And we used to claim that. That is the motivation. We are spending R&D, but we are getting it back in the form of reduction in the income tax. Slowly, they started reducing it. They made it from 200 to 150 and then to 100, and later they removed totally. What is that we are giving a signal to institutions or industry? We don't care about your R&D. We cannot afford to give any benefits to you. You do it or you struggle it, we don't know. That's how the signal is being sent to industrial units who are willing to spend some money onto R&D. And also, the problem is, many multinational companies are coming in foreign direct investment, and they are also starting R&D centers here. Novartis, for example, they started. Like many companies are coming. I think now in the post-COVID scenario, we should formulate certain policies After all, they are multinational companies are coming into the country. We are opening our doors. We are welcoming them. Why not we tell them that, look, you are coming with a bag of money. Then you are using this land, this water, this air, and this intellectual. The people who are working here, we are all working for that company. When they develop any IP, they are paying us salaries, no doubt, but they are taking the IP totally for themselves. I think we should put a condition. You are doing everything research in this part of land, and our people are working on it. We should be given a due share, proper share into IP. This condition in the present circumstances, I think any multinational will agree. Unless we try, we will not get it. In negotiation, you get what you negotiate, not what you deserve. So kindly see that the government authorities, Professor Saraswat Saab is there in Niti Aayog, gentlemen. He should be able to formulate this policy and advise government to put these conditions that any IP developed in this part of land with our people working on that should have a share in the IP. Otherwise, we remain as paid coolies. We are not coolies. So is the case with IT professionals. Many big companies like Infosys and TCS, they are sending away their people on a contract basis to other countries, and they are collecting money out of the hourly payments they are getting for their employees. This kind of thinking should change. In fact, our people can do ourselves all the development, and we can do all those products, whatever our people are doing in the other countries. Yes, where, in my opinion, the total thinking should change, that we are also eligible for part in the intellectual properties because our people are developing everything. This paradigm shift should come that we should own some patents. Recently, when I studied, there were 33 lakh patents filed in the last year, 2019. Most of them, rather, at least more than 50% is from China. And our patent applications were around 25,000 applied. In that, we got granted, I think, around 15,000 and odd. A pathetic number compared to 33 lakhs. In those 15,000 patents, what we got approval, patent approval, are granted. Pathetic number is from government institutions. 1,289 patents were granted. That is very, government institutions only 128. 1,289 is what we got totally approved. In that, if government is contributing only to 128 patents, is it not a matter to seriously look into? We have very good laboratories like CSR, 42 laboratories are there in the country. We have IITs, we have IISc, NIV, NIA, CCMB. So all these institutions should work towards more innovations. They have no paucity of funds. Now Government of India is pumping a lot of money into R&D. But 70 billion is what is true, as Professor said from California. Enough money is being spent. At least I know for sure, from 1992 to this date, 2020, in the Department of Biotechnology, there is a lot of improvement. Now they have started one national biotechnology mission in which BIRAC is very actively promoting biotechnology initiatives. They are not only encouraging them by science support, but they are giving grants also to some novel ideas. They have with the International Monetary Fund Association, $350 million they are disbursing for the startup companies. I'm glad on that. But still, in my opinion, industry should be encouraged to innovate, and they should have connection with the academia. And all our universities are very weak now, both resources-wise and faculty-wise, because they are not able to provide adequate resources for the government. Most of the universities do not have vice chancellors as of today. They are still to be filled up. In such circumstances, the good faculty cannot come to that university and work for the innovations. So universities should be strengthened. Industry should be encouraged to align with the universities, and that association should be monitored by an institution with authority. Unless there is a binding force and also a monitoring institution, the linkage between industry and academia is a big question mark. It is not happening. I've been trying for a long time. When we started Shanta, I collaborated with IISc, and we could not succeed much with IISc because of their thinking on timelines is different. Their thinking of commercialization is different. They do not have the clear picture of what an industry look for. They don't have great respect for timeline and also the economic viability. They will develop something, but it may not be viable in commercial angles. This kind of understanding will come to the institutions, academic institutions, only when they closely interact with industry. They get to know the feel of the industry, what they are looking for. The technical feasibility, economic viability, both are very important, and it is linked with the timelines. So next, my point is the manufacturing. When you come to manufacturing, over a period of time, our manufacturing percentage to GDP is coming down, sliding down. It is very pathetic. That position was taken over by China. Today, most of the countries have Chinese products, and we don't find any made in India products. I think an opportunity has come now because people are running away from China because of their loss of credibility by their behavior, by their virtue, whatever it is. Now it is an opportunity for India to wake up to the call, and we should not look for make in India. That is the slogan given by our politicians earlier times. Make in India means the multinational companies are invited. They are given a lot of shops, concessions, land, everything free. And they employ our low-cost employees here because we work for less. They assemble here and they take it back. So they are only giving some daily wage, nothing more. That is called Make in India. In my opinion, earnest opinion, Made in India should be encouraged. Everything should be done here. If you are inviting FDIs 100%, that itself is some lacuna. Actually, British people entered this country with that mission of, what is that called, East India Company, and they conquered India. They made us slaves to them. Such a situation is likely to come if you allow FDI 100% without any conditions involved. One of the conditions is they should be called Made in India, and we should have the right in the IP, and also certain what you call decision making should be given to, though they are 100% FDI by equity, our Indian component should have voting right at least. They should have the dissent note at least in the company, what in the board meetings they put 100%. The Indian partner should have the right to object if it is not in the interest of the country or not in the interest of the society. So such kind of conditions, if you evolve in the new normal situation after COVID, the many companies are likely to come, around 1,000 companies, what they are saying. But we should evolve a policy wherein we can safeguard our self-respect, our due rights on the product, what they are being developed here, what being manufactured here. And so, with the changing scenario, we are in a position to negotiate, and we should not lose our power of negotiation. And vaccines, yes, Saraswat Saab was mentioning, there is a mission to be able formed for imagining or what you call forelooking for future vaccines, a good idea, and that is very essential. In fact, my suggestion is, in the future, the wars are not going to be through missiles, wars are not going to be by what you call aircrafts or submarines or anything. It's going to be biological wars. Such a kind of situation, if it is going to come, we should strengthen our hospitals. We should create epidemiology centers. In every district headquarters, we should have a self-contained 200-bed, most modern hospitals with the epidemiologists trained there. And also, if military and paramilitary forces are trained in these areas, in the areas of pandemics or epidemics, They should be involved in this kind of managing these hospitals. When there is a war, they will definitely go back. But otherwise, instead of sitting idle in their regiments, they should come and work for these district quarter epidemiology centers. They should be always ready. If today is Corona, tomorrow something else may come. But we should be well prepared, not like what we are today. Today, we are saving our people by lockdown because we do not have vaccine in place. We do not have any treatment medicine for that. And even we do not have testing kits. After all, testing kit is not a rocket technology. If sufficient encouragement was given to our industries, our people could have developed these test kits. We have imported 33 companies' test kits from China, and most of them didn't work. And we do not know what to do. That's why we stopped even testing. And the best method is when there is no weapon with us other than vaccines and other things, we have gone to lockdown. But lockdown is not a permanent solution. At this point of time, it helped us. But in future, such kind of pandemics, lockdown is not a solution. We should be well prepared with appropriate medicines and vaccines. In that area, we should concentrate. So my expectation is future wars are going to be biological wars. To that extent, we should concentrate on our biological sciences. That is the thing that we should concentrate. Defense budget should be diverted to this kind of. It is also defense is what? Defense from the neighbor, and the kind of protection mechanism is missiles and other things. Here, prepared hospitals, prepared doctors, trained doctors, and also science development. Biological sciences should be developed to combat any pandemics or epidemics they come in our way. So it's a great opportunity to reorient ourselves for a new India with the preparedness on the possible attacks. We know now how the attacks can come, in what form it comes. Thank you very much.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Shall I unmute?
Thankful to Dr. Prasad Reddy for sharing his thoughtful and insight ideas to build new India. Dr. Prasad Reddy, thank you very much.
Hello.
Yeah, I will be leaving now because I have been telling that I have to leave at 1:50. I'm Professor Jhunjhunwala.
Still you have 10 minutes time. You have 10 minutes time.
Yeah, but now somebody.
We will take up your talk now. Yeah.
Should I get onto the line?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Vinod, please invite. Please. Okay. I invite Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala to give his presentation. Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala. Yeah.
All right. I'm sharing my screen. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Can you see my screen, please?
We can see your screen.
Okay. All right. I have a very short presentation. I'm looking at how does we really make our industry and R&D self-reliant. The theme that is being repeatedly talked about, and the theme that is extremely important for India, not just because of COVID-19, but even from before. Now, what has COVID-19 done? Frankly speaking, it is just a realization that only when R&D and innovation system is strong, Indian R&D, Indian industry will be strong. So far, what had happened? Earlier, at one point of time, Indian industry mostly imported technology know-how initially from the West, later on from Japan, South Korea, and even China. Some indigenization was carried out to reduce cost. That was the first phase that has been going on for a long time. In last 25 years, many industries have their own R&D. So this has been a positive thing ever since 1991. But this R&D was also a replica of that in the West. They made a few breakthroughs, some innovative designs, some innovative designs, and some software. But it was once in a while able to leverage the fact that we are a low-cost economy and our low-cost manpower was utilized. But fundamentally, we still continue to depend on imported technologies. Then over the last 10 years, another thing that has happened. And this is very interesting. And this is basically, while we have been talking about industry academia, joint R&D, we suddenly saw this starting to make an impact. We saw therefore innovation, entrepreneurship, startups. Today, that has caught on, and it is actually exponentially increasing. Still too early, because in 10 years only so much can be done, but you are seeing this is exponentially increasing. Now, what about the startups, the young entrepreneurs, very young entrepreneurs? They consider themselves to be no less than those in the West, Japan, Korea, and China. They are young, full of energy, have mastered modern tools, and are connected to all corners of the world. So working with academia, working with industry, they are actually able to come with solutions and develop technology very, very rapidly. And they have a belief that not only can they actually do whatever the world is doing, but actually do one step further. So, for example, they are the ones who are focusing not just on making a product, but also all its subsystems. I suddenly start hearing this slogan that we need to make something which quality is better than that is available in the world. Now, this was unheard of. We are not talking about slightly inferior or somehow copycat. We are talking about, if you want to beat, for example, particularly China, we need to have a quality higher than that of China, and yet at cost less than or similar to the product in the world. For example, we are now importing a whole lot of things from China. Now, we cannot beat them by mere slogans. We can only beat them if we in India develop products whose quality is better than that of the imported products, and at a cost which is similar or less. You cannot depend on protection. Yes, some protection from government may help in the initial period, but essentially we need to really beat them in the cost. I think what we need to do of the system is what we have done on the software. Well, I don't have too much to say, except to conclude that it is today's youngsters who are driving Indian R&D, innovation, and startups. What our experience is, we essentially need to give them a free hand. We actually need to give them freedom to make mistakes. Actually, they need very small amount of funds from us. They need a minimum of infrastructure. Rest, they will get it from, they will raise the money. They need freedom to make mistakes, to learn and excel. They need seniors like us and Professor Saraswat to back them, but they don't want us to manage them and control them. It's very clear that they will handle all these things. What I also find that they are very clear that they will not go in the same manner in the way the world has gone in the past. You see, only gain of the COVID-19 is the extremely good environment in India has changed almost overnight. We see very, very clean skies. We don't see as much pollution. So they are sort of very clear that they want a nature-friendly technology. I think this is a time where many of us who have worked for very hard to put this seed to sort of say, now give them free hand, give them backing, guide them, mentor them, but let them make their own mistake, learn, and excel. Well, this is all that I really need to talk, and I have nothing much more than that.
Thank you, Professor Ashok. So, Ranjit, you can spotlight me. Yeah, now I request Professor B.S. Murthy to deliver his speech.
And I need permission to go off in a few minutes, okay? Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
Thank you very much,
presence.
sir.
Sir, you have to unmute.
No.
Sir, please.
Yeah, I have unmuted. I thought there is one more before me, right?
No.
Mr. Venkatraman, according to the schedule.
No, sir, he done. He done.
Okay, fine. So, good afternoon, friends. We are half an hour late, as usual, with many of such meetings. This does happen. So, a few points I just thought I should bring to your notice. A lot of senior people like Professor Saraswat, Professor Junjunwala, and Dr. Satish Reddy have mentioned very important steps that are being taken by the government and what should be done by the government in this direction. One point being from an academics, I would like to say one thing that as last 2 months we have been doing this online teaching. For example, today I have an online exam for the subject that I have been teaching this semester. And in all this that we come across two problems. One is the network capabilities in India are still, I would say, not at par. There are some students who tell me, sir, that we get about 80 kbps at the best that I can get at my place. Imagine in Hyderabad, everybody typically gets about 100 Mbps. So where is 80 kbps in comparison with this 100 Mbps? Okay, so that basically tells that there is a lot of scope that Indian government and Indian industry should come up with technologies by which we can be able to provide affordable network speed with very good bandwidth to everybody in the country. Okay, and particularly now, as you are going to see in future, it's going to be digital education more and more. Okay, we have started with NPTEL. NPTEL has taken a different, I think, avatar now, where you are able to connect. Right now, you can see 800 people, 900 people we are talking to. At this moment, I can see 769 connected right now. So we are able to connect to a lot of people, and so the connectability is very, very important. Second thing that I have also observed is quite a number of students complain about the availability of cheap laptops, for example, less expensive laptops. Okay, so in this particular, you can still do it with your mobile, fine, but when a teacher is teaching you and you have PPTs to watch and class notes to watch and all these, it's not easy to handle it with a mobile. So we should be able to develop less expensive laptops and be able to provide these to the students in a big way. So these are two on the education sector. I feel there's a lot industry can do, and there is a scope for industry to improve. A few more points that I have observed in the last 2 months is, first and foremost is academia suddenly woke up in a big way. And as somebody was pointing out a few minutes back, that typically any professor thinks of a PhD. So the moment the industry comes forward and asks for a project, he says, I'll be able to do it in 3 years, 4 years, and so on. Okay, it's not like that. I can tell you, last week when our collector of Sangareddy just called me and said, we are looking for a robo kind of a thing which can reach to patients where you can give some medicines or some food, where you cannot physically go and give because of whatever reasons, health reasons. And our faculty were able to make it in 3 days. Okay, and which can carry a weight of about 35 kilos, remotely operable table, let's say, which acts like a robo. What I am saying, this also without any students being there. Our campus right now does not have any student at all on the campus, and faculty are working day and night. I can tell you almost about 48 different projects, COVID related projects, are happening at IIT Hyderabad on a day and night basis, thanks to a different way of looking at. I mean, people are able to take up challenges in a big way and offer solutions in a much quicker fashion than what we used to think before. That means the impact of the need and the urge in people to come up to the expectations of people when there is a need has significantly gone up. This is something that I want to say, and this has helped in the bridge, the gap between the industry and academia coming very close. For example, ventilator. Immediately HMT came up and said, we are going to take up your ventilator. So now it is being made in a large quantities by HMT. So like that, I can tell a number of such examples where industry is jumping and helping us even for testing in a big way. And I think this gap is being bridged very well, and this is a good sign and good news for the whole country, and that in the future we can, the academia will start saying that, like the way industry says, I want the product yesterday, okay, and academia is learning that language and doing it in that fashion. And similarly, there are so many students coming up with so many startups. Right now, for example, I asked for, can you come up with some ideas to our students? I have about 30 different projects in front of me right now. So in the last 15 days, the students have come up with various ideas, and we are going to pick up some 10 of them and going to offer about 1 lakh each to these students. Similarly, I have asked all my faculty, can you come up some interdisciplinary projects which are related to COVID that you want to work with? And I would like to support 10 lakhs each. Already I have about 25 projects proposals that have come, and which we are scrutinizing next week and coming up with supporting such things. So this is another, I would say, paradigm shift that is happening. Students are thinking very big, as Professor Junjunwala has already pointed out. I mean, they just need some support, not to manage them, but just a helping hand so that they can move on. So these are certain very interesting scenarios that are emerging. And I think what is required is just a big pat on their back and a little bit of support what these people need. And I'm sure India is going to be a different India in the months and years to come, which is energetic, ready to face problems and come up with solutions in a timely manner. I think that's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Vinod?
So, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your enlightened words. And
talk, BSM.
Thank you, Professor.
Now, I request Professor V.S. Rao to deliver his speech.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, my regards to all the speakers, particularly Dr. Saraswat, Dr. Satish Reddy, Professor Junjunwala, and everybody who have spoken. And they have covered much of the arena of the situation arising out of COVID. What is that we can do post-COVID? I think in very simple terms, I would say that we must set our priorities. The first and foremost is the discipline. Second is the austerity, especially avoiding extravagance. We should not put our good money by giving unnecessary subsidies to various projects. I would not like to name them, but certainly there is a huge scope in rationalizing, providing subsidies to projects. By doing so, we should be able to invest more on healthcare, education, and R&D. This has been emphasized by many of my previous speakers. I agree with Dr. Varaprasad Reddy Garu that futures are going to be knowledge-based, be it bio-warfares or cyber warfares. So in resetting our priorities, I would say the first thing is we must focus on our energy sector and emphasize on clean energy initiatives. What people used to tell about the clean disruption that is in the offing of disruption of oil and gas industry is approaching very fast, more than actually what is expected. It is knocking at our doors. So it is a time that we must invest on alternate sources of energy, which will, of course, provide better environment, and there are many other things. Many people say oil and gas is going to become a history like photographic films or landlines. Maybe it will take some time. But however, when I read in the New York Times 2 days ago, it states that the pandemic will permanently change the auto industry. The pressure to go electric could become more intense. So in my opinion, universities, industries, and R&D laboratories now must collaborate in this fertile sector, the energy sector and the transportation sector, where excellent opportunities are available for the application of digital technologies. Another area which I would like to touch upon is a traditional area. Traditionally, India has been a hub for agricultural produce, medicinal plants, spices, and variety of foods. However, we have actually not taken the full advantage of the processed items in the value chain. We were actually exporting only the raw material. So this area, in my opinion, provides excellent opportunities for small and medium enterprises. In fact, this particular sector has been struggling for ages. Fortunately, maybe because of COVID, actually COVID has done many good things. So it has taken SMEs out of that crisis, because they have been asking, like in other countries, like in Malaysia, to provide 100% guarantees for the bank loans, because banks are risk averse and they were not providing. If I have correctly understood the fiscal policy, fiscal policy of the government, that now we are going to provide this 100% guarantee to the MSMEs. So this is one area where, again, university industries can work with SMEs, because they do not have proper R&D facilities, nor they can afford R&D expenditure. Of course, many of my previous speakers have mentioned about the opportunities becoming available because of the entire globe shifting its attention from China. So we are well prepared in terms of human resources, be it engineers, be it other professionals. So we are well prepared. And one more advantage, in my opinion, again, an opportunity provided by COVID is the reverse brain drain. Many professionals from US and from many other countries may now like to come back to India because of better opportunities available here. So that could be one advantage for the shifting manufacturing and R&D out of China. So when they consider various alternatives, India versus other countries, so we can certainly project this as one of our strongest points. And another thing that I feel going forward, because of the social distancing, our capacity utilization will not be 100%, certainly not the same percentage as it was previous times. It is going to reduce drastically. So now, to meet that particular challenge, we need to work on very efficient and innovative methods for cutting down the costs. And here is another area where industry can collaborate with universities in cutting down the cost, in improving the efficiency. Professor Murthy mentioned exactly about the challenges that are being faced in online education. Actually, it is a great opportunity now for edtech companies. Pro-COVID come in a very courageous way, because in the past, although all of us have been talking on various platforms about online education, maybe it was a slogan, but now it has become a necessity. So if we address the problems of the bandwidth, as mentioned by Professor Murthy, online education, online examination, online assessments, and virtual labs, more than all these things, is online internships. Here I would like to dwell upon this summer internships. AICTE has made it mandatory for, or rather they have advised the engineering colleges especially to go for internships like medical internships. Of course, there are many challenges to do it at such a large scale of sending students to various industries, maybe institutes like BITS Pilani, SRM, or some more universities, NIT University here, maybe sending, and few more. I am not able to immediately recollect all the names, some more. But whatever it is, the percentage of universities sending students to the industry is minuscule, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5%. But it is essential to have online internship. So my proposal to Dr. Saraswat to be placed in Niti Aayog is to provide support to universities to have online internships. So the projects will be obtained from the industry and the students will be working on those projects. And students will be given the knowledge of various sectors. Either they can collect that information by Googling or by contacting people. I would rather prefer that they talk to people at various levels in the industry. Of course, another fertile area is the medtech area. I think it has been discussed threadbare. People have presented various advantages that we have. If I correctly recall, today we are producing 50% of the global needs. Okay, the way Dr. Satish Reddy mentioned that DRDO labs and other labs have actually come up to the challenge, and IIT Hyderabad and many other institutions, and have produced be it PPEs or masks or any other thing. So what is important is how do you bring the manpower which is available in plenty in universities, and there is plenty of manpower available. Actually, they are the grassroots innovators, okay, sitting in various villages. So you take any sector, only thing is if proper guidance is given to them, so you have fertile minds and you can really exploit, or you can harness that potential of those grassroots innovators to face the real challenges. Here I have one suggestion. Many, of course, it has been proposed by UGC and AICTE and some universities like NIT University or many, or in the past also NSS activities have been there, but we were never serious. Community development is to be taken very seriously. So what are the grand challenges offered? Here can be taken by the consortium of university, industry and R&D labs. Students can be given projects, okay, on credit basis. So it is a win-win situation for everybody under the joint guidance of R&D and the industry and the university. So this helps not only improving the problem solving skills of the students, but it gives a very good opportunity in sensitizing the students to the community and thereby contribute for enhancing their emotional intelligence. I think I may be taking a lot of time, so let me conclude that our ability to convert knowledge into wealth and social good through the process of innovation would determine the future of India, and it is the appropriate time for the university, industry, and research laboratory to collaborate in accomplishing this task. So thank you, Narayan Rao Garu, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, everybody.
Professor V.S. Rao Garu, we are highly grateful to you for your thought-provoking ideas, particularly online examinations, virtual laboratories, internships. Definitely, sir, we will take up with the concern, and we request the universities to go for this online education, which seems to be the promise of the future. Thank you very much. Now I invite Professor Rakesh K. Khandal of Indoglycols Limited to give the presentation. Professor Rakesh.
Thank you, Professor Narayana Rao. Thank you very much for inviting me in this August panel.
Hello.
And what you are going to hear.
Hello, sir. Hello. Sir, actually, I think your two devices are on, so you have to mute one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Thank you very much, Professor Narayana Rao. I must compliment you, and I must compliment SRM University for taking up a very pertinent and very important topic, Resurgence India. And I really thank you for inviting me in this August panel. And let me tell you, what you are going to hear from me is something that will be completely different from what you have heard today or you have heard in the past from various people. The reason for that is because, first of all, I am a villager. I come from a village background. The second thing is, I have seen it all in the life, starting from Indian School of Mines as a young lecturer to today, President R&D and Business Development with a company of its kind in the world. I have seen it all. So what I'm going to speak today is something, and I'm very, very happy that Professor Saraswat is there in this panel. So this is a right opportunity for me to put things, facts across for this resurgent India, what we should do. Because it is to do with R&D and it is to do with industry, I will begin with industry. I must appreciate a wonderful presentation Professor Saraswat has made. He has listed out almost all areas which are very significant, very important, and we must have done it yesterday, areas on behalf of Niti Aayog. Very well said, sir. But I have a suggestion here. Like Dr. Vara Prasad Reddy has very nicely said, that all this is good, but we need to reorient ourselves. All these areas which are talked about were talked about yesterday also. And we are talking the same today again. I think it's a time when we have Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog should work like Niti Aayog and should really bridge the gaps that have been existing. We talk about industry, we work in isolation, in fact. The academicians are working in their own chambers, the researchers are working in their own chambers, they are not talking to each other. And they say that industry is not coming to us. And like Dr. Vara Prasad Reddy has very clearly said, when industry goes there and associates with them, they find that there is a very big gap between the two in understanding about research, technology, innovation, and commercialization. So I think what we have to do, and first and foremost thing is, person like Dr. Vara Prasad Rao must be taken to Niti Aayog, and he should really address them what to do when it comes to R&D for industry. Why do you wait for industry to come to you? You should go to the industry and say, we will help you. Now, our Prime Minister has very rightly said that let us focus on local. Now, when he has said, let us focus on local, Dr. Saraswat has very nicely said that let us prepare technology status appraisal. Who will do it? Let us have a team formed which should go into the details of what capabilities we have today in this country. Now, let me emphasize the industry I come from. India Glycols is the only company in the world which started, first time in the world, and only company which started manufacturing surfactants from sugarcane molasses. And it's a 5,000 crore company exporting all over the world. Now, should not the government come? I mean, this is just an example I have given. Like India Glycols, there are many other companies which have been doing this kind of work. It's the responsibility of organization agencies like Niti Aayog to own them and to highlight them at the international fora that, look, this is what we have. We all have talked about multinational companies shifting their base from China to India. And they say it's a good opportunity for industry. Yes, it is good opportunity, but who will do it? Who will make it happen? Do we leave it only for the industry to do it? Let us create consortia, a consortium in which the government agencies, the private industry should work together, work in a planned manner that which are the industries that should come to India, and we welcome them with a very concrete plan, an action plan with responsibilities. The industry, we suddenly pass an order that make all the industries zero liquid discharge. Now, the industry has been running, you just give an order, zero liquid discharge should be there in all industries. Where are the R&D guys? If the industries are closed down, it should be the worry of the government. Look at the copper plant in Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu is closed down for last 2 years. We have lost 40,000, 50,000 crores of business. And our business goes to countries like Pakistan, supplying copper to China. I think where are these R&D guys in our country? They should all wake up. They should work towards making the industry work all the time and beat the foreigners. We have a department, chemicals and petrochemicals. We don't have crude. By grace of God, India is not blessed with petroleum crude. But we are blessed with renewable resources. So let us have a ministry. Dr. Saraswat ji से मेरा निवेदन है कि एक मिनिस्ट्री बनाइए जिसका नाम हो chemicals and renewable chemicals. Why chemicals and petrochemicals? I just give you an example. When alcohol is produced by molasses, by fermentation, it costs certain amount. But when the crude prices goes down, the alcohol is available from petroleum route. All the industries based on alcohol will get closed down. The government should really have a long-term policy that renewable chemicals is our pride. Renewable chemicals is our front. Up front, we will beat them who are coming with petrochemicals. I think we need to work on this. The Niti Aayog should have people who are real experts of industry, who have seen 360-degree innovation, and not just theoretical people. I'm not saying that there are theoretical people there, but what I'm saying is Niti Aayog should not function just like Planning Commission. It's not a name change. It has to be changed in terms of action. When I talk to my chairman as a president R&D, and when I discuss with him about research projects, I'm sharing with you all, vice chancellors, chairman, all of you are listening. When I talk to him, I feel so elated that mentors like this should be there, like Professor Dr. Varaprasad Reddy should be there in Niti Aayog guiding us. These are our assets. Let's not unnecessarily say this is private sector, this is public sector. All this is Indian assets on them. The R&D done in the industry should be given equal importance. The funding system should be changed. The committees which fund the project, you pat my back, I pat your back. None of these industry experts are there in their panel. And if they are there, they are just for the namesake. I think we must change it. The university, I just give you one example, and that will solve all the problems. My sincere request to Dr. Saraswat, have a look at this example. 40 years ago, China was behind us, far, far behind us in terms of research, in terms of technology, in terms of innovation. They took one decision. They said all our institutes, all our central universities, all our research organizations have to become self-sustainable. Government will not fund them. And what I am talking is, please remember, all those fellows who keep talking about investment in R&D to get the innovation, they are following the principles of Western culture, which has no relation. Innovation with funding has no relation. This China has shown it. 40 years ago, China did not have more than hundreds of SMEs, MSMEs. Today, they have in millions. How? Because when lakhs of people became jobless in university and in industry, they got themselves united, worked for doing something, and SMEs and MSMEs were created. Why can't we do it in India? In India, now let me talk about education just for 2-3 minutes. In India, we educate people, we say we educate for placement. What do you mean by placement? That means the student is coming to the university not for Gyan. On the one hand, we say educational institute is a Saraswati Mandir. I was very delighted to listen to Professor Jhunjhunwala. He touched upon the real key issues. The only thing is he fell short of telling how to do it. And I'm telling you how to do it. IITs and NITs. Every year in the budget, you open one IIT. But at the same time, every year, hundreds of your engineering colleges are getting closed down. So those students who are not coming to engineering college in different parts of the country, you expect them to compete for IIT. And a student which has competed, spending years and years and money being there in quota or elsewhere from across the country, is only aiming to pass that exam of JEE and the entrance exam of IIT. Once he is done, hardly there is any value addition. When I was the Vice Chancellor of UP Technical University, I used to say it on all the forums, and I'm glad that today we have NIT Vice Chancellors and even we have Chairman DRDO. Please understand that a student entering in the local universities, in the state university, technical university with 49% marks, when he passes out, he goes with 75% marks. But in the IITs, they come with 99, 98% marks. But when they go out, hardly 60%. And at the end of the day, they have no plans to stay in India. I am, of course, not against the brain drain. The good brain should go. We have so much of brain. The point which I want to tell you is that this kind of system, that you open new IIT and not without bothering the engineering colleges, close down. The second point is, you open IIT, you give 5,000 crores, money does not make education work. It's the way the education is delivered. The lakhs and lakhs of private engineering college teachers, they can be much better teachers than what you have it in IITs. We just don't care for them. Now, the point I have suggestion is...
Rakesh, you may please conclude in a minute.
Sir, जो मैं बात बता रहा हूँ, बहुत पते की बात है.
You may please conclude.
एक्स्ट्रा दे दीजिए, कोई बात नहीं, बहुत आगे लग गया टाइम. जो देखिए ऐसा है, मैं बात बताऊँ. अच्छा, मैं conclude करता हूँ. The first and foremost thing is you have a cadre. Like you have cadre for IAS, IPS, engineering services, you have a cadre for teachers. You have a cadre for engineering services, have it also for researchers. IITs and NITs, you open, spend thousands of crores of rupees, declare them self-sustainable. You will not fund them from public funding. And if you want to open an IIT, pick good engineering college. Like SRM University is a private university. You pick this university and make this as a model. MIT University is there. pick that up and make that as an international model. This is our university. And forget about this tag of private and public. And funding, when it is to be done, it should be done based on real content. All that research in the name of research which is going on today, I think it has to change. Dr. Saraswat, we are looking for paradigm shift. I am very sad to say Professor Desiraju, who was there in the panel, he has left it. He just sent me a message. He says that only the generality is being taught, not any paradigm shift, no change is being taught. This was the best opportunity, Professor Narayana Rao, when we could have demonstrated that our Ayurveda is the best. We lost that opportunity. In the COVID, we should have treated the patient with Ayurvedic formulations. There were lakhs of Ayurvedacharyas were sitting at home closed down, and MBBS doctors are doing this. And MBBS doctors are taught not to let them take Ayurvedic medicines. This is a very, very big danger, I'm telling you. Now, the educationists changed the syllabus of MBBS. We have all that was there in Ayurveda, which is there in allopathy. All the medicines which are designed are derived from plants. Even your chloroquine was from Kalonji. Who invented Kalonji is by our Vagbhat. So what I'm saying is, we need paradigm shift. We need to make our MBBS syllabus in such a way that the MBBS doctors are first Ayurvedacharya and then MBBS doctors. All the universities, central universities, make them become self-sustainable. They occupy 500 acres, 700 acres of land and doing just a liability on the government funding. Make them self-sustainable. Let them grow something.
Professor,
I would
like to conclude.
Thank you very much, Dr. Narayana Rao, for inviting me.
Because positive time. Yeah.
And I thank you very much for this opportunity. And I hope that what Professor Jhunjhunwala, Professor Vara Prasad Reddy, and what Professor Desiraju wanted to say, could not say, he had to go. I think these points be noted by Professor Saraswat. And thank you very much for inviting me. I'm really delighted. I think let us look for renewable chemicals, local resources, human resources. Make our people not dependent on medicines. I never go to the doctor and I will never go to the doctor. We have a system in which Atma will leave the body just like that, not going to the doctor. Let us explore medicine and let us not give the medicine to our people. Thank you very much.
Please conclude.
Yeah, it is concluded. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I have a pleasure inviting Dr. Mayank Dwivedi, Director, DRDO. Anyhow, we are running out of time. I request the panelists to be as brief as possible. Sorry for that. Now, Dr. Mayank Dwivedi. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. I will not take more than 5 minutes. Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Honorable Member Niti Aayog, our previous boss, still our boss, as Dr. Reddy told. And we are very much blessed that he is still guiding us in many things. And Professor D. Narayana Rao, Vice Chancellor, SRM Universities, many professors, faculty members, my industry partners, and many participants sitting here. First of all, I thank you, SRM University, for such a nice webinar, where both the important topics, resurgence of Indian industries, post-COVID-19, and also a strategic measure to push R&D. This is very important because I have attended more than 7 to 8 webinars by SOCM, CII, SIDM, etc., where I was the main panelist and where I discussed about all these things, where how to involve the industries. But how to push the R&D is a very important thing. And I have heard every panelist. I am lucky enough to understand what is going on and what should be there. Let me tell you, DRDO has got a fantastic ecosystem. Right now, as a director university interface in DRDO, I can proudly say that DRDO is associated with more than 14,000 industries in this ecosystem. And more than 40,000 industries are working with DRDO as Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 industries. And where 1,800 plus industries are directly involved in various programs and projects. Also, let me tell you what Dr. Saraswat was telling and what many other panelists were telling, that whatever we are discussing, actually in DRDO, we are on the brass tacks. And we are actually actualizing that. We have made various policies in last few months whereby we have supported industries like anything. Like DRDO technology, earlier we used to give at 20% of development cost. Right now we are giving to our development part of free of cost. And they are very big technologies, even radar system, gun system, artillery gun system, sonar, and everything, weapon system, etc. Similarly, during the COVID thing, Dr. Reddy has told, I will not delve upon it, that we are giving all the COVID-related technologies to all Indian universities with unlimited number of licenses free of cost. And also we are giving all these technologies free of royalty. And more than 157 industries are in queue to take the TOTs. And they're all products, right from the sanitizer to talk about the ventilator, with the system of systems we are providing. That's how we are supposed to see. Here we have understood one thing, because I have got short time and that I will have to tell you. With our leadership in DRDO, we have understood one thing very well, that all over the world, the governments are supporting industries like anything. Today, our government has also come out with 10% of GDP, where 200 crores import embargo. That is fantastic thing, where R&D and indigenization is going to take very good shape. Also, as Reverse Brendan was spoken about, that is also going to come up as a startup, etc. Also, 3 lakh crore has been given to MSMEs, collateral-free loan. That is also going to help defense industries and all, and many other industries. The important thing, what I would like to tell you, that DRDO has already started making the programs. Already one in very important policies is on annual, that we are going to fund startups to the tune of up to 10 crores for every project, and we are going to inculcate this research activities with free hand with the startup, and we are going to bring up a new revolution in India, whereby our young talent, our many reverse talents, they are going to provide many new technologies, and they are going to be the extended hands of DRDO, ISRO, BARC, CSIR, and many industries for their R&D efforts. DRDO is not only these new policies, even right now we are already providing enough funding to industries for R&D under our TDF, Technology Development Fund scheme, that we provide again up to 10 crores. And already we have provided many industries this funding. Academia is very important partner to us, where more than 1,000 crores money has been invested in academia, and many projects have been funded, and lot of research where the TRL level 2 or 3 was there, where it has come up, and that's how we have picked up from S&T level to technology demonstration level, and finally it has gone to the industries. DRDO has developed a fantastic ecosystem, and post-COVID we are further focusing on it, that how to bring academia, industries, everybody together, so that we can bring out much needed change in the country. And let me tell you, we all government officers, we are dovetailing our all efforts with the economic policies declared by government, so that the exact benefits and right benefits must reach to the industries. Because I tell you what DRDO is. DRDO does R&D, and after R&D, the product is taken to the user, to the armed forces, to export. It's by the industry. Without industry, DRDO cannot survive. The industry is completely complementing us. That's how this 40,000 plus ecosystem we have developed. And in the similar lines, we are going to strengthen this bond further. Now we are giving a technology transfer. Earlier we used to take 20% of development cost. Now we have reduced to 0% to our development partners. So that's how we are trying to develop the ecosystem. And DRDO is actually working on the brass tracks, and we have actually delivered those funding, the technologies, and we have led to the production to industries. So, well, we all put together, we can do fantastic things. And I have been in Niti Aayog various committees, where many materials committee, etc. I was a member with Dr. Saraswat, and I have found all those efforts have yielded into a big change. Basically, India is such a big country. Sometimes those changes are not visible very soon. It's like putting one bucket of sugar in the ocean. But certainly, you see in time to come, in next 3 months or 6 months' time, finally will find these efforts are taking shape, and all of us will be proud of our industries, our academia, and the government efforts all put together. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to me. That's all. Jai Hind.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Dr. Mayank, thank you very much for your kind...
Any DRDO related question is there? Anytime it can be sent. We can reply. Right now I can also reply.
No, we'll send the questions because of paucity of time.
Right.
And we appreciate that DRDO looks to involve academia and industry for their endeavors. Thank you very much. We are running out of time. Now I have the pleasure of inviting Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, Senior Advisor from the Department of Science and Technology, DST, Government of India. Dr. Akhilesh.
Thank you, Dr. Rao, respected Dr. Saraswat and panelist. I'll be making a very short presentation. I think I'll be try to be well within that 10 minutes time allotted to me. Well, I'll be focusing mostly on the extramural R&D that is going to, be impacted by post-COVID period, and what kind of challenges and opportunities are there in the in this R&D, extramural R&D sector.
Yes,
some of the, am I audible to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
We had in fact some key challenges that have emerged only because of COVID. For example, we will continue to have some social distancing and mask wearing for some time to go. In fact, this cannot be avoided for some time. And therefore, there will be some limitations on those interactions that we will have. Similarly, that all that evaluation, assessment, and proposal, they had to be done through virtual conferencing. So it will have some kind of advantage, but also it has some kind of disadvantage too. Most of the essential, in fact, it's kind of unwritten understanding that we had that now time to come, the only most essential domestic and international travels will be undertaken. Otherwise, we should try to manage more the things through virtual conferencing. And field and institutional will become very restrictive. So therefore, there are some challenges that COVID is going to pose on the extramural funding system. But there are some good learnings and new novels that have come up because of the extramural funding. In fact, I'll tell you, this is how government officers have responded. And I'm talking about the Department of Science and Technology. Within a week time, from the time when the COVID broke, we made entire office working through e-filing and e-papers. So DST as on date has become paperless in all respects, all kind of files, approval,